Okay, class, today we are going to learn about evolution. Evolution is how organisms change over time. How do you think humans evolved into what we are today? Everything can be explained by evolution. It is believed that we actually came from a prehistoric fish. Most people give credit to Charles Darwin for the theory of natural selection, but it starts before that with Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. Our guest speaker should be arriving any moment.
Hey, my time-traveling machine worked! Bonjour class, I am Mr. Lamarck. And we will be learning about acquired characteristics. First, I discovered that fossils of extinct animals were the ancestors of those living today. As you can see with Old Bone and New Bone, and of course Grandma Pat and Bob. These are the bones of this bear's ancestor.
Wow, that's a genius idea.
I know, my other idea was called acquired characteristics. Look at this giraffe. The environment changed when the trees grew too high, so the giraffe could not reach the leaves to eat them anymore. The giraffe stretched its neck and then passed on its new acquired trait to its offspring. This way, the giraffe, its offspring, could easily reach the leaves and live happily ever after. I call it use and disuse.
Hang on, are you trying to say that a single giraffe can just lengthen its neck and pass it on to its offspring just like that? That's like saying pigs can fly.
Wait! Let me explain use and disuse further. Pigs could fly if they wanted to grow wings. They just have to want to improve themselves.
That's where you're wrong. Use and disuse is false. The real way it works is that organisms with more fitting adaptations based on their environment will survive and reproduce, while the organisms with less fit adaptations to their environment will reduce in population size. This process happens over thousands or even millions of years. Look at these frogs. Some are green and some are brown. Since the log is brown, the brown frogs are better adapted to their environment, leading to their survival. The green frogs will be eaten. The brown frogs will have offspring, but this isn't to say that the brown frog will have all brown offspring. The offspring's genes is still left up to chance.
How did the brown frogs change based on their environment?
Well, a mutation needed to occur. A mutation is a change in genetic material. It happens randomly. One time when a frog was born, it could have had a mutation, making the color of its skin brown, unlike its parents.
Wow, I'm starting to think that my theory was absurd!
Lamarck, you think that individuals lose or gain structures suddenly because they are trying to better themselves. This doesn't happen suddenly. Let me explain different types of structures, starting with vestigial structures.
Oh wait, I know what that is. Can I explain it? An example of a vestigial structure is the hip bone in pythons. Obviously, the hip bone was unneeded since now pythons slither across the ground really fast and don't have legs. The hip bones in pythons are unused, but they are still inherited. They are smaller in size because a while ago having a hip bone was a disadvantage in their environment, so those with big legs died. Over time, the legs got smaller and smaller until the once prehistoric reptile became the python. The pythons with smaller hip bones survived and reproduced, so after many generations, the population adapted to have no legs.
Wow, so vestigial structures are structures that are inherited, but are reduced in size and often unused.
So one species can evolve into another one when there is a mutation that creates variation.
One species can evolve into many different species over time. This is called divergent evolution. It works like this. Say we have this prehistoric cat, and it has two offspring, each with different traits. This one has long legs, and this one is very camouflaged. They both can evade predators easily, but in different ways. Then, since they both survived, they both have offspring, and these offspring are faster runners with really long legs, and those offspring are very good at hiding and blending in. Eventually, the babies start to look very different and become two separate species. They can't even reproduce together.
So the new animals are two different species, but they must still be somewhat similar if they share an ancestor, right?
That is true. The similar structures are called homologous structures, traits that are similar because they evolved from the same ancestor. For example, the hand in a human, the hand in an alligator, and a wing in a bat are very similar because they descended from one organism, the lobe-finned fish.
Are the wings of a butterfly and the wings of a bird homologous structures? They both help the organism fly, but they are very different.
Well, I mean, birds' wings are feathery and the butterfly wings are like pieces of paper. They can't possibly come from the same ancestor.
But don't come from a common ancestor are called analogous structures. Birds evolved from a prehistoric lizard, and through mutations, variations, and natural selection, they evolved to have feathery wings. Butterflies, on the other hand, came from prehistoric insects and also evolved to have wings, but their ancestors did not have wings. The prehistoric lizard and insects are not common ancestors.
Fascinating.
When two species evolve to look similar but are not related, it is called convergent evolution. The ancient insect and the ancient lizard looked nothing alike, but then they evolved and began to look more similar, and both have wings. They are different species, but they produce similar adaptations.
I get it now. Me too.
Me too. At least I have one thing right. The fact that fossils of prehistoric organisms are ancestors of organisms living today. I can't believe I was so foolish to think acquired characteristics was correct. Oh well.